everybody, it's John, your Indian Cine-MANIAC, back with another 10ish-minute review. Although, to be honest, let's be upfront. I believe in being transparent. I've got a guest, so it's probably going to be a little longer than 10. Well, mine are long anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yes. I brought on. What was that?
110 minutes? Maybe?
Yeah. Listen, we could go. We should do a live stream is what we should do. Yes, if you haven't figured it out, we have Drew Gould with us today. Hey, Drew, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, bud?
Looking good, Slenderella.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, I haven't done some shows in a while, and now I've picked up the pace a little bit for you guys. And this film came out. I actually wanted to see it in the movie theater, but it was only showing at 9:50 p.m. One showing. So I just couldn't get myself.
Late for us.
Yeah, that was too late for me. But it came on Netflix. So I saw the trailer and I said, yeah, I want to see this. And I talked to Drew, and to me, it seemed like kind of a Drew film too, based on the trailer. I didn't know if it was going to end up a Drew film. So Drew, I invited him on the show. And Drew, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did to watch this movie before I get into the details of it?
Sure. Well, I also wanted to watch it in the theater. We do Indian movies in theaters around me. It's not like I have to go very, very, very far or anything, but they're not there that long, and it may not fit your schedule, and then it's gone. And I can't go at 2:00 on a Wednesday because I'm working. I want to, but I can't do that. But one of the things I really enjoyed was having people over to watch RRR, because then you get a little audience. And so I thought, this movie looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to have a couple of my friends over who, they know that I love Indian movies, but they have, don't know anything about this. And we had a little audience and we had a ball. I mean, like, such nasty stuff happens in the movie, and all three of us like, whoa, it's just great. It was super fun. So,
and the action was,
if you watch it with your friends.
The action was pretty universal. So you didn't have to know the language to figure out what was going on, for sure.
And it was only an hour and 45 minutes.
It was
appropriate for my American guests.
No wasted time either in this film.
Mostly, yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, other than the first few minutes. So Rose and I watched it. And I do want to give you guys, and by the way, we're talking about the movie Kill from 2023, if you hadn't figured that out. It's directed by Nikhil Nagesh Bhat, who also wrote it. It stars Lakshya, who, from what I read, was his first film.
That's my understanding.
And he was good. He was good. Raghav Juyai, Tanya Manikala, Abishek, Chauhan. And I didn't recognize anybody in this film. So maybe they've been in another film that I've seen, but no familiar faces to me. So Rose and I watched it, and I liked it a lot more than her. But I said, right before I came on, I said, Rose, I want a one-sentence review of Kill that I can use on the show. So she thought about it for a minute. Then she said, I really liked it, but it was gross. That's a pretty accurate review of this film. Yeah.
My wife's review was, why don't you watch that with your friends? I think that's appropriate, because she likes action movies and horror movies and stuff, but she doesn't like wet movies.
Well, and this movie was wet.
Yeah. Like the
much more than
Dead's or Abigail, like all the blood everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like she can't do it. So I said it's appropriate that you skip this one.
Yeah, it definitely had a John Wick vibe too. So we start off on the show. We're going to talk about the story. And the story is pretty simple. And by the way, the story is based on a real event, which I did not know. About some soldier on a train that fought like 36 bandits and saved a lot of people. I had no idea because it seemed so unbelievable the way it happened. But yeah, so a guy wants to marry a girl who's engaged to somebody else. They all end up on a train. On the train are a bunch of bandits who want to rob everybody. Then they find out the girl's father is a big businessman. So now they want to kidnap him. So the story is he got to kill all the bandits before they kill him, basically. I mean, that's pretty much the plot, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it in ways that surprised me and that worked, and we'll talk about that. But it is a relatively simple thing, and it doesn't have any song and dance numbers or anything like that, and that's appropriate, I think, for this movie. I mean, they're making John Wick movies every couple of years, so maybe at some point they'll make a musical. But this did not need that. there are other parts of it that were very Bollywood, and I made it different, and we'll talk about that too. But it is a very simple, a simple kind of a story.
Yeah, I
Which
mean, this
is
was a
what it
simple story,
needed.
and
It's a train movie.
it's been bought by Hollywood, so Hollywood's going to
Yes.
remake it.
Not only has it been bought by Hollywood, but Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves and the people behind John Wick are the ones who apparently have secured the rights to it.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
really?
read.
So maybe they'll put John Wick on a train,
I mean, they might. They did
right?
Bullet Train, and that
Yeah,
worked.
I
So
loved Bullet Train.
it was
That's
fun.
kind of what
Yeah.
this one reminded me of, without the
hmm
humor.
hmm
So as far as the story, and really, I'm serious, that really is the story. I mean, there's some nuance like Drew talked about, which we'll get to in a second. But I'm going to give the story a 4 because it was pretty unique. Not something bad on a train, but the number of people and him and his buddy who was there was some surprising things happen in this movie that I wasn't expecting. But I give the story a 4. How about you? 1 to
Uh,
5, 5 being best.
totally agree. 4 out of 5.
Okay.
It's
So
on the surface, it's a simple story. It's not that much more complex, but it was really well done, and it didn't have most of it. It didn't have a lot of fat on it, and it's like
yeah.
he's literally fighting his way back and forth along a train. And this apparently they built a whole set so they could do the cameras and everything, but apparently it's very authentic, sort of like like the coach class sleeper car on a train in India, and the dacoit, the bandits. I guess I tend to think like somebody's going to rob a train, so a couple guys get on the train to steal something, but this is like dozens of them get on the train before they meet the other few dozen at the crossing. So there's a lot of people to kill, and that was actually a big part of the story.
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, I thought like this is good, and there's a lot of punching and some knives and stuff, and it's like this is good, but like is it really like the most crazy action gory film India's ever made? Like I'm not really feeling that. Like it's fun. And also I did say to my friends, I said like about 35 minutes in, I think he's got to start killing some of these guys because he's beating the crap out of them, but they keep coming back.
Well,
And then are we doing spoilers?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Let's make that announcement. We are going to spoil this. I know this is a relatively new film in the theaters and on Netflix, but I don't think we could talk about it
Mm.
without spoiling because there were some things that happened that really shocked me. So I'm going to give you a second, folks. If you haven't seen the film, I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert done. Go ahead.
Well, and I think you should see the movie because it surprised me. All I knew was the broad strokes that it's an action movie, it's violent, it's John Wick of India, et cetera, et cetera. And so, I'm watching the movie, I'm digging it, and then Fani, who is the leader of the dacoit on the train, and his father is the one behind all of it. It follows that model where you have a really big, scary crime lord who's got a son that's even crazier. Like Road to Perdition has Paul
Yeah.
Newman and a genuinely terrifying Daniel Craig, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Fani, you get the vibe that like he's not okay, but he basically butchers this guy's love in front of him. And when that happens, you're about 40 minutes into the movie. He does it he does it through a window on on the door between train cars, while Amrit, Lakshya's character, is being held, and he's already beaten up and bloody and everything, and he sees it and he can't do anything, and he kind of collapses on the floor, and then the title comes in. So that was kind of awesome because the title doesn't show up for RRR like apparently.
And
a
don't
lot of
forget
these
the
movies.
bloody handprint on the door.
Well, that's the thing because when the change happens, it's really well done because they basically Fani leaves and it's like throw these people out of the train, like I'm done messing with them. Because earlier in the movie, Fani kept kind of trying to corner Tulika,
Right.
the woman that Amrit loves, and you don't know what his intentions are. He doesn't get that far, but it's not good. And she defends herself, and she actually cuts him, and that's why he kills her very brutally. But yeah, she leaves a bloody handprint on the glass. And when he's standing completely, lost, his love has been murdered, he looks at the handprint on the glass, and then there's a flashback to just a moment of them sharing
Yeah.
their love together and their lives are joined together. And that's when the movie changes.
Yeah.
That's when the movie steps on the gas. I did not expect it to go like that. All the stuff I was wondering, why isn't he killing these people? How violent is this? That was the rest of the movie.
Well,
That was
the
great.
brutality of the way he killed her, it wasn't
Oh,
just
yeah.
like one step. And by the way, they did this thing where someone pulled a gun and the gun backfired. So
Mhm.
rest of the movie, there's no guns other than towards the end with the police. It's all blades.
It's all blades and punches and a variety of objects.
But like when he kills her and also kills the guy's partner, which was another awful scene. It was right out of oh my God, the Tom Hanks war movie. Jeez, I can't even think of the Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. That one scene that still haunts me to this day. It was like that. And that guy had his shoulder shot. He had a knife put through it was the same shoulder every time too. It was his left side every time.
Yeah, they kept going for it. Well, the other thing is also he's like the friend who helps him. And it was funny because it's like, okay, well, obviously he's going to die. But he lasted a lot longer than I expected, to the point where I was like, maybe he's going to make it. No,
but I thought the same thing because of everything he had gone through. He survived. I go, they're not going to kill him now, but it was brutal. And those two scenes are really brutal. And to your point, it's like when John Wick became John Wick. That's kind of what happens with this guy. Once he sees that print, now it's a whole different thing. He wants to protect everybody, but he's going to put every one of these guys down, including hanging them all in that one car.
Yeah.
When the bad guys walk in, they're looking up. Now all of a sudden they're all starting to think maybe we should get off the train.
Well, I mean, it's an important lesson. Like, don't kill people's loves, especially in front of them with 3 stabs in moving the knife around and putting it in her neck. And in John Wick, don't kill somebody's dog.
Right. Exactly.
Because not only are you going to die, like everyone between you and John Wick is going to die. And this had that kind of like scorched earth approach. And, you know, you dig it. Fani is very bad. And these other guys, they're not necessarily as bad, but they're still armed gangsters who got on a train and threatened people and stole things and had weapons and all that stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about the ending in a little bit, but the force that was unleashed on them, it was great. It was
we didn't even mention that after all the stabbing, he threw her off the train.
Oh yes, right.
So stabbing, sticking the knife in her neck. Well, that wasn't enough. He had to throw her out, and you see her falling out backwards. So and that was surprising to me. I didn't think they would do that. I didn't think they'd kill her. So that was brutal. But to your point, it made his transformation into what he became. It made it happen, and he was brutal.
I would call it, even though the action is obviously crazy over the top, I found it emotionally plausible.
Yeah.
You know, and also they do a thing in this movie that I like in action movies in general, whether it's the whole movie or the scene. People, they have these big fights, all this kind of stuff. He gets tired.
Right.
Like a real person would get tired. Do a lot more than a real person, both in terms of skill and energy, but he gets tired, like an Old Boy, the hammer fight, with, you know, one guy versus dozens of guys. They all get tired. There's a scene in The Living Daylights, which is one of my favorite underrated James Bond movies, where just some random British security guy fights the big bad in a kitchen, and they're like hitting each other with pans and all this kind of stuff, but they get tired. And this movie felt just a little more real because they got tired. Like, people have to take a minute and lean on stuff. And
he was also getting his head.
Made it real.
He was getting his head bashed in on That's one thing. That was a very common theme, hitting metal and hitting porcelain. They were getting their heads banged, and he was getting, I mean, it was a little, you know, again, like the John Wick stuff. It's like, even though he was getting tired, I mean, most of the stuff they did would have killed him just by bashing his head.
Oh,
but,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I also like the close quarter fighting too, because those train compartments are so small and you're utilizing everything you have in there to fight, which I really liked. And the choreography of the fighting was fantastic too. Whoever did that.
And they're also innocent people sitting in some of the compartments as you're fighting, and only one of the people fighting actually cares about not hurting them.
That's right.
But our hero does not care what they see. So there are scenes where he just does something unbelievable, and the people in the train are like, ah.
Well, he also had to worry that some of the bad guys were mixed in with the good guys that you realize later on, which was kind of interesting. So okay, story we each give a 4. Performances.
Absolutely.
Look, this isn't Shakespeare. This is an action movie, start to finish. And as far like the lead and the bad guy were both dynamite. So, you know, so I would probably give the performances a 4 for the type of film it is. You?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they do what they need to do. I think the movie delivers, and a lot of what it delivers is is the simplicity of it and the action choreography, but also, I mean, I care about this
Right.
guy. I am you know, angry and want this bad guy Fani to be punished. And so, you know, you have to perform those. You have to make me emotionally invest in
Right.
them, and they did that. And no, I mean, you spent just enough time. The movie could have been 20 minutes shorter and had the beginning be 20 minutes shorter, but you spent enough time with Tulika that you got to know her and her
Right.
family and her relationship with Amrit, and then she dies. And I wouldn't cut any of that. That was
Right.
what really worked, and she delivered that. But even the little roles, like there's a scene that there's a couple of kids on the train with their family, and one of them gets murdered, and then what does the other one do, and how do they help our hero, and all this kind of stuff. And it's totally plausible, because the other thing that I wanted to say about this movie is it's an Indian movie, so it is more emotional and more earnestly emotional than a John Wick movie.
Yeah.
And that means that when he's killing people, they start crying because they're killing my cousin, they're killing my uncle, they're killing my father. And I thought that was really kind of great, because their whole criminal enterprise is a family thing, and they're used to just overwhelming everybody. And what's happening to them is so scary, long before you get to the train car with all the bodies hanging like it's Predator or
Yeah.
something. And I thought that was really,
Yeah.
they
You know,
really
that's
sold
that's a
that.
good point, because they weren't just cardboard bad guy cutouts.
Mm-mm.
Once things started happening, they're like, "What are we doing? You know, we came here to
Yeah,
rob, not kill people, and now
right.
we're getting wiped out."
I
But you're
wasn't
right about
sympathetic to them,
right.
but I believed their emotion, that they were
Yeah.
sad or upset or scared, and that's
And,
good.
and you're right about like the bad guy at the end, because one thing Rose said, she wanted him dead, but not just dead. She wanted him brutalized. She wanted it to be
Yeah,
bad the way, you know. And I'm thinking the same thing. That means, you know, the guy resonated, right? I mean, you
oh yeah,
hated the guy. And again, towards the end, you don't really know what happened at the end. They kind of leave it a little open ended,
right,
but
right.
you're like,
When it's all over.
yeah, you know, there's a one way to look at it that's okay, and the other is this guy just went through all of this, and he's not going to make it. You know, they
Right.
kind of imply that, and you're not really sure, and they kind of left it that way. And I think because this movie did really well, I can't believe they're going to get rid of him and they're going to have
Oh
a
my God,
sequel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a
So
sequel. Oh,
yeah,
that was the thing about the ending. I totally love that Fani, the villain that you hate, because he is awful and brutal and merciless, and also willing to throw his own people in front of him to save himself and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. He says to Amrit, "Who kills like this? You're a monster," and he's not wrong, but the monster's doing the right thing,
that's right. He
and
let the
it's
monster out.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine they won't make a sequel to
Yeah, and that
this.
guy, that kid, and he's a young guy. He had a lot of charisma too, and I
Oh
liked
yeah.
him. The music. Now, this is a few movies I've been watching because there's no musical numbers, and the incidental music I thought fit really well, but nothing stood out for me. And when that happens to me, I just give it a 3. It's not like it stood out for me that I noticed it. There was no
Mhm.
big, dance numbers, thank God, because this movie wouldn't have fit at all. But that's what I thought about the music. What did you think?
I actually noticed that there was nothing happening for me with the score. I would give it a 1 out of 5 for the
Okay.
music, because that's something that it's missing. Not every movie is going to have a great soundtrack and
Right.
everything, but like an action movie, like, and you could write a classic version where, Amrit has a theme and Tulika has a theme, but it was just, I needed something exciting, because the action was very exciting, but there were parts of it where it's like, oh, he's stabbing a guy again, and the music sometimes can sweep you through that. So I actually, when I was watching it, I noticed that there was, like, 'cause there is score.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't awful or anything. It just
No.
didn't do
And it's
anything. And I
not
feel
throughout
like
the
that,
film either.
right.
I mean,
And I
there's
feel like
moments of
that could have been
silence.
better.
Yeah.
That could have been done better. And
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because I noticed it and it frustrated me, I'll say it's 1 out of 5. Not because
Yeah.
it was bad, because it wasn't what the movie
No, I got you.
had.
Yeah. And to
So
me, it's like I didn't notice it. So to me, it's like, yeah, it didn't matter one way or the other than me, which is
right.
fine because I don't think, maybe it could have enhanced some of those scenes, but there was some like, those when the cars were dark and he's looking
Hmm.
around and they're
Hmm.
trying to find him and it's quiet. I kind of like that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no, it doesn't need to be wall to wall music for
right.
sure. But some of the stuff, it's like, he's stalking down the stalking down the corridor of the train, and the music just kind of like got a little more, but
Yeah.
didn't really do anything
Yeah.
special. So I mean, you know me, I love soundtracks and scores
I know
and
you do.
everything. So I would notice that, but it certainly doesn't ruin the movie at
No,
all.
but if they played like Zooby Dooby, now that, Zooby Dooby, I don't
Well,
know.
you
I'm
know,
just,
John, you make your own shows with these shows. You could do an edit for certain scenes and put in some of
maybe
our
I'll
favorite
clip a
songs.
scene and put in Zooby Dooby, see if it
Why not?
changes.
Yeah, just see, because choreographing action is not that far from
You know
choreographing
what?
dance.
I'm going to make that happen.
I think you should.
Okay,
Maybe you could
so we've
decide
done
the
the
right song.
category. Now, overall,
Hmm.
what would you give it?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's just really fun. Now you have to like action movies, and you have to not be afraid of this kind of gore. It's not
Yeah.
a torture movie or anything like that, but when somebody gets stabbed or almost decapitated or any of that kind of stuff, there's lots of blood spraying everywhere. It's a big mess. When somebody gets their head bashed with a fire extinguisher, so there's nothing left but red goo and brains, you see all of that.
Yeah, the knife
And
through the
also,
eye.
you're like, yeah, get him, do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's eye trauma, there's all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's nasty, which I found was right for the level of violence, and I
Yeah.
just thought it was fun. And an action movie, being fun, even if it's about very dark things, it was very satisfying.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I gave it a 4 also. I really liked it. It flew by.
Oh yeah.
And Rosie was watching it and loving it and covering her eyes at the same time. But like I said, when he killed the bad guy, she was all in, man. She was like, kill the son of a. So yeah, I totally agree. It was a fun, shut your brain off. It was much gorier than I'm trying to think of another Indian film I've seen that was this gory, but it's not gratuitous. It really isn't gratuitous, but
It's just the nature of the movie. It's that kind of movie. I
and
mean,
it's also the
it
blades, man. Because for
right.
me, that's getting shot is bad enough, but a blade where they just slowly put, to me, that's like the
Yeah.
worst. So to keep seeing him getting stabbed and sliced, and it was tough, even for me to watch. I'm like, oh, because that's my fear. I don't like that.
Well, my friend's grandmother, now in her 90s, and you'd never know, she's as spry as ever. She told us one time she'd prefer to kill someone with a knife than a gun because she likes the way it feels when it goes in, and I believe her. So it's different.
Wow.
But it is. It's more intimate to watch these people get killed one on one. And like you said, there aren't that many guns, and when there are guns at the end, they aren't that useful.
That's right.
Because you end up hitting people in the face with your
Yeah.
rifle. I thought
Yeah.
there'd be frankly more of the bayonet because it's just another blade
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it's
Yeah,
a good
blades are
time.
just more brutal. Just more
Yeah.
brutal. That's all.
And also, I mean, I think I don't think it's as good, but it's definitely in the neighborhood of movies like The Raid and The Raid 2 and Dread, and movies that
Yeah.
are, single location,
Yeah.
really intense, against all odds. I mean, Dread and The Raid, honestly, especially Dread, like unbelievably gory, violent.
Yeah.
But, that's the story they're telling, and it works. 'Cause
I love
there's movies
Dread.
that are very violent. Like, there's a movie I've mentioned a time or two called Mad Max Fury Road that is an extremely violent movie. There's really almost no blood in it, and you don't miss it. But like, I think I could probably say 3 scenes where you see somebody got hit with a chainsaw, and so there was a squirt of blood or something. This is not that movie. This
No.
movie is like, if you stab someone, you're reminded that we're full of blood, and it's nasty.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
good.
Okay, good. So 4s from us. If you haven't seen it, we spoiled the crap out of it. But I'll tell you what, even if you know the spoilers, I think you'll still like it because the fight scenes are really, really well done. And there's a lot of consequences in what happens in the film. People you think are going to make it don't, which
Yep.
is good because then anybody could die. That's kind
Right,
of
surprising, and it
That's
makes
right.
everything more likely. And look, I mean, I hope that you respected the spoiler alert that we gave you, because that change at the 40-minute mark, both the brutality of the murder that triggers it, and then him, like, he literally just like rips some guy's neck halfway around and then goes to town on the other guys in the compartment with him that are about to throw him off the train. Like that was really great. It was just great. It was satisfying, and it was fun.
so.
But
I didn't
I
ask
think
you.
it's hard to keep that stuff secret, and I had no idea, and that was
What
great.
do you think about the ending?
It's funny because I think the way that you probably are more likely to read the ending is that he dies on the bench, and Tulika takes him away, and they're together again. Except they're gonna make a sequel, so I
That's how
mean,
I read it
unless
too.
they make it, Yeah, unless they make it an anthology type of thing where, Kill 2 is another guy in a similar situation. Because like the Die Hard 2 could have been a different character than
Yeah.
John McClane, and it would have
Yeah.
still been like, because a lot of those later Die Hard movies were other scripts or other
Right.
books that then were turned into Die Hard movies, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I feel like I want him to live. I want him to have lived, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get like he's basically ready to go and stop licking my hair. And he's basically ready to go and die and be with her. I thought we would get a vibe of like, it's not your time.
That's
And
what I
she
thought.
did not do that. She was like,
that's why I
let's
thought.
go.
That's why I thought he was dying, and because he saw her and she said we can
Right.
be together. I would like to know what you guys think. Those of you who have seen the film, what do you think? I mean, I know they can. Obviously, it made so much money they'll probably do a sequel. But had they not done well, do you think it's the way we're interpreting it? Do you think he died at the end there? Because I was also waiting. There was one guy they kept showing who was with the good people, but he was one of the bad guys. He had gray hair, and there was a scene where guys were jumping off the train, and he grabbed the rails on either side, then stopped and looked at his hands. And then you never saw him again. So what I thought was going to happen was he's sitting on the bench. That guy was going to show up and just stab him in the head. That's what I was waiting for. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, okay, then she showed up and I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. This can't be.
Well, I felt bad for him too, because he kind of stumbles off the train and
alone,
looks around, and there's paramedics everywhere carrying stretchers. And I'm like, does no one see this man? I mean, he is beaten up. He clearly needs at least some gauze or something.
Well, because he got stabbed. He got stabbed a lot. Yeah.
And he's tired, which, as I said, I found that really satisfying. But I also think like the fact that you can read it a couple of different ways is cool. As I've seen movies where it's like, people could say, I think it means this. I'm like, no, I think the movie ended this way. Like, I think that's what it means. But it's okay if other people think it. But this movie really is, you could see it the way that you and I see it, and I think that works. Or you could say, he's just sort of dreaming, and I don't know, maybe if they kept the camera on for another 10 seconds, he'd fall over. Because
they faded to black.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's literally the end of the movie.
That's what I thought. I was like, okay, his lifeblood is fading.
Right.
That's kind of how I read that too. But then my business mind took over and said, well, they're going to make another one. So there's no way they're going to kill him. Okay, good. All right. Excellent. Now, we used to do this thing. What do you watch? I wanted to ask you if you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine.
I have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet. I will definitely see it. It looks like a lot of fun. I may be the last person in America to have not seen it yet, because the money it's making it's incredible.
And you know what? It's not as good as the first Deadpool, which I really love, but compared to a lot of stuff that they've been putting out, it is so good. And Hugh Jackman,
he's the best, man.
He is unbelievable in this film. It's almost like he was in a different film than Ryan Reynolds, because he's very intense almost the whole movie. But it was like Lethal Weapon, the two of them together.
Oh, okay.
And they, they love each other. And, I even heard, based on the money that this thing is making, that he wants to do more Wolverine at 55 years old.
Well, I will say that was a concern that I had. Not that he's older, because I mean they could have Harvey Keitel or Bob Hoskins be Wolverine the way that they were originally thinking 20 some years ago, and I would have been interested in that. But his movie Logan is just such an incredible film and a wonderful goodbye, and really satisfying. And I know it's a multiverse, it's a different one, all that.
Well, they address that right
don't
away.
Tell me. Don't tell me.
I'm not. But they address that right away. So
okay, well, I figured they would address it as a movie that you saw as much as the story. So, but I think here's what I'm going to recommend: watch the Hot Ones episode. You know Hot Ones?
Yeah, the wings.
They eat the wing. So watch the episode they just put out. It's Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. It is an absolute blast. You see their relationship, and it's so funny because the guy Sean, who runs the show, I think he's so like just kind of flat and boring. And he has the best questions.
Yeah.
And it's just great. And they are so fun together. And they are not trying to be tough. Like,
and the people he has on that show, the people who they have on that show open up to him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It's not like a typical talk show. All right. How about the new Batman? animated show on Amazon Prime. Have you seen that?
I have not seen it, but I have
Caped
heard
Crusader?
it's like the best Batman in a long time.
Well, okay, yes, and
Okay.
they did they retconned a few characters that I'm not crazy about, but the look of it and Batman himself
Mhm.
really good. It's only 10 episodes.
Is it related to the previous? As I know, there's a number of previous animated series and miniseries.
No, it's
Is
the
it
same
related to
guys
them?
that made the original Batman the animated series,
Oh,
Bruce
okay,
Bruce Timm, but it's set in
okay,
the 40s. It's like
interesting.
Batman's been around for 1 year.
Hmm.
So it's got that look, but it's got a film noir look too. It's there were things about it I really like. There's some things, and when you watch it, you'll know
Hmm.
what I hate. But
Okay,
overall, it's way better than like most any Batman stuff I've seen in a long time. Although I
okay,
like Batman Beyond, but Batman the Animated Series is the OG.
got it.
It's not that, but it's good. It's worth the watch.
Well, I've
Anything
heard that.
else?
Well,
What?
I've heard
Sorry.
that X-Men '97, which I haven't
Excellent.
watched, is like a worthy successor to the
Excellent.
original
Yeah, I really
X-Men
liked it.
animated
Yeah.
series. And so it's like if you're gonna bring stuff back, and you do it right and you do it well, and people that you're, like, they want anybody to watch it and enjoy it. But you have a hard line of quality that I think you've been very frustrated with, and I don't blame you. And you're talking about a couple things all coming out at once that are really working, because the fourth season of The Boys did not do it for me.
Yeah,
You know?
and you and I talked about this. I heard enough about it that I don't think I would like it. I might break down because I really did like that show. And I
Mhm.
love the guy who plays Homelander. I think he's fantastic.
Oh, it's a great
But
cast.
yeah, but the fourth season, I don't know. I'm watching Mirzapur season 3. So
Oh,
I've seen
okay.
3 episodes of that already. Yeah, that's a really good show too.
Okay.
Anything else you want to
Yeah,
anything?
just quickly, I saw Twisters yesterday in the
Oh, how was
theater.
it?
It's just fun. It's silly. It's not really a sequel. It's like the first one was people are chasing storms, and then
Right.
this one is, some more people are chasing storms. It is funny though because there's a guy, Anthony Ramos, is the leader of one of the teams of the people. Glenn Powell is the leader of the other one. It's not a good guy, bad guy necessarily. And Anthony Ramos' second in command is this guy, and I'm like, who is this guy? He looks like Henry Cavill, but he's way too young. Like, who is this guy? And I looked him up. It's David
Yeah,
Corenswet,
the
who's
guy
the new
playing Superman.
Superman. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, I liked Henry Cavill as Superman, so I
Yeah,
guess I'll
me
get more
too.
of that vibe, whatever. But Twisters, it's fun, and the disaster part of it and everything is compelling, and I enjoyed it. And Glenn Powell, I don't know, he's just really charming. I like him.
That guy, what the Hitman on Netflix? Did you see
I
that with
haven't
him?
seen that. I
Uh,
haven't seen that yet.
uh, uh,
You
uh,
dug that one?
yeah, it was good.
Okay.
He's good. I mean, talk about your career taking off. That guy. I mean, he's the hot thing right now. But yeah, I want to see Twisters. I haven't seen that. I heard it was good. Summer movie. That's what I heard. Summer movie. Go see it.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. And the other thing that I would say is actually turns out to be quite the cousin to Kill. It's a movie called Abigail. It has a great twist to it that I won't ruin, even though the trailers ruined it. It's on Hulu, but it's basically one of these movies where some bunch of people get hired. They don't know each other to kidnap a rich guy's daughter and hold on to her till he pays the big ransom. And there's a lot more to her than
She's not
they
what she
think.
seems.
Yeah, and it's I'm watching it and it's very wet. It's very
Oh,
violent. It's very wet. It's great fun. It's really nasty, and I don't know. I maybe I'm getting older and I just don't catch as much as I used to. But I'm watching it. And I'm like, this is really feels like a cousin of Ready or Not, which is that movie about the bride has to survive the
yeah,
night with
yeah.
the family.
I like that
love that
movie.
movie, and
Yeah.
it's lots of exploding people and all that kind of stuff. Same directors.
Oh,
Of
really?
course, yeah. So Abigail is super fun. Kelly covered her eyes and looked away a fair amount, but she also couldn't watch Conan O'Brien on Hot Ones because he drooled so much. But I thought Abigail was a lot of fun. I thought Twisters was a lot of fun. That's a good movie weekend. And Kill I watched last week with my friends, and that was a week ago we
Oh, that's
watched it.
great.
It's been a blast.
So listen,
It's good stuff.
some of the films I've watched, people want you to watch and let us know what you think about them.
Yes, I was
Manju
hoping to
Malo
watch
Boys.
Manjamel Boys
That's the
before
one.
I came on, and I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. But that is high on my list.
And
If you
Avisham
decide
with
to have me back on again,
Fafa.
I'm happy to talk about that. That's
I,
the that's the one
Avisham, I
about
think
the
it's called.
yeah. Well, that's the Manjamel Boys is the one I think it's
That's the
about
one
the
where they
kids
get,
going. Yeah, they go
yeah.
on a vacation, they get stuck or something. Yeah.
But the
So
one
I
with
definitely see
Fafa,
that.
you've never seen him like this. It was great.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
great. But
I like him
yeah,
very much.
if you do decide to watch them, let me know so I can let these guys know. The other thing is, Drew and I have been talking about science fiction movies, Indian science fiction movies, and I saw Kalki in the movie theater, which I really liked. A big epic, but
yeah, you dug that one. That's cool.
yeah, I did. But I'd like to ask you guys: is there an Indian science? Because a lot of you say you have said this in the comment section. You don't do a very good job with sci-fi, but I would love to hear a suggestion from you because Drew and I would love because we both love sci-fi too, and that's one we could bring back Drew to talk about. And I know he's got a few that he recommended, but I'd like to hear from you guys. Maybe you recommend something that he's already recommended, so then we know we're on the same page. Put that in the comments section. Let me know what you think about Kill.
Yep.
I would love to hear that. Hey, and if you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine or the new Batman show, let us know about that too, or the movies that Drew talked about.
Yeah, go see
we'd
Abigail.
appreciate
It's
it.
a party.
Go see Abigail on Hulu, you said?
Yeah, I believe so.
Streaming on Hulu.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not on Hulu. It's on Peacock.
Peacock,
you can
okay.
rent it on other services, but I should have known that because all I'm doing is watching the Olympics when I'm not watching movies. Oh, that reminds me. There is an Indian weightlifter. Her name is Mirabai Chanu. She won a silver medal in weightlifting. I think she's a 49 kilogram weight class. She won a silver in Tokyo, and she has a real shot to be India's first gold medal winner in weightlifting.
Wow, Jaheen.
It's just a great story. Like they're talking about making a movie out of her.
Oh, really?
Bengal type of thing. Yeah, it's very compelling. You know, I love weightlifting, and it's fun because I don't watch a lot of sports, but every 4 years I get to watch this on the same stage as you know all the biggest stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing her. A lot of great people this year, but the Indian stuff, of course, jumped out at me. So I believe.
Well, congratulations to her, and hopefully she'll win the gold. I mean, you guys did win the World Cup of cricket. I mean,
remember, and the Olympics come back in 2028 in Los Angeles for the first time since I think the first Olympics ever, a modern Olympics. Cricket is going to be played in the Olympics.
Really?
So I'm very curious to see what that looks like.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. Hey,
I'll have to watch Lagan again so I know what the rules are.
USA had a good showing. Listen, I did a lot of reaction videos for cricket, and I was starting to learn a lot more about cricket. In fact, I had a glossary of terms that somebody sent me so I know what the announcers were saying. So, hey, listen, but I said if USA is in the final, I got to root for USA.
Obviously.
But since they weren't, Jaheen.
Yeah.
Oh, Drew, it was great to see you. I know it's been a while since we did this. I missed the gang, but you got to do what you got to do. Well, it does. We'll bring you on more. Because it is nice to have someone else to talk to when I do these, and I appreciate you take time. And again, you look great, man. I'm telling you, look at you, all chiseled. I look like a beach ball, and you're getting all slim.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm on TV with an international audience. I'm on YouTube. I can't just slack. You know, I have to put in the work.
So wait, are you accusing me of slacking?
No.
I'm
okay. Saying, like I was carrying around a lot of the movie snack weight, and it's time to bring that stuff off.
All those ladoos.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Drew, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time with another 10ish minute review. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you guys.